When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. Those words came from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist, a Holocaust survivor, and a man who lost almost everything. What makes people remember him isn't only what he suffered through, but what he still believed after all of it. Because some people go through pain and become bitter. Some lose faith in life completely. But Viktor Frankl spent the rest of his life trying to answer one question. What makes a person keep going when life no longer feels fair? When people looked down on you, what did you become? Angry? Quiet? Tired? Did you try harder to prove yourself, or slowly become smaller than who you were meant to be? Most of us have felt that at some point. Viktor Frankl was not born famous. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't a celebrated genius as a child. He was simply a young man in Vienna, deeply interested in human psychology and obsessed with understanding why some people survive suffering while others collapse under it. He studied depression, purpose, and the human mind long before tragedy entered his own life. Because it's easy to talk about pain when you haven't met it yet. Then war came. And life has a strange way of changing without asking whether you're ready. One day you have plans, family, work, certainty. The next day, things disappear. Frankl was sent to Nazi concentration camps. He lost family members. He lost safety. He lost freedom. He lost the future he once imagined. Think about that for a moment. Imagine waking up one day as a respected doctor, then finding yourself stripped of everything that once defined you. Not because of something you did wrong, just because life turned in a direction you never chose. Most people think they know how strong they are until they face something impossible. Sometimes human beings only discover their strength when they no longer have the option to be weak. During his years in the camps, Viktor Frankl began observing people. Even surrounded by suffering, he watched carefully. And he noticed something surprising. The people who survived weren't always the strongest, smartest, or healthiest. Sometimes, they were simply the ones who still believed there was something waiting for them beyond the pain. A loved one, a dream, a purpose, a reason to see tomorrow. He saw people with almost nothing left sharing food with others. He saw kindness exist in places where kindness made no sense. And slowly, he began to understand something. Maybe survival is not only about physical strength. Maybe people endure because they believe their suffering still has meaning. That idea sounds simple, but think about your own life. During your hardest moments, what kept you moving? Was it money, comfort, success? Probably not. Sometimes all a person needs is a reason to wake up again. A reason not to give up. A reason to believe this chapter isn't the whole story. After the war, Frankl survived, but surviving doesn't mean returning to who you were before. Many of the people he loved never came back. The life he once knew was gone. He had every reason to become angry at the world, every reason to lose hope, every reason to ask why. Instead, he chose something different. He wrote. He taught. He tried to explain what he had learned, and what he shared would eventually change millions of lives. Viktor Frankl believed human beings can endure enormous suffering if they find meaning in continuing. Not happiness. He never promised happiness. Not success. Not comfort. Meaning. Because there's a difference. Life does not always become easier. Pain does not disappear because you want it to. But the way you understand your suffering can change. And sometimes, that changes everything. One of Frankl's most powerful ideas was that not all pain is meaningless. Some experiences break you, yes, but some experiences also shape who you become afterward. That doesn't make suffering beautiful. It simply means pain may not be the end of your story. Years later, his work spread around the world. People who felt lost read his words. People facing grief, depression, failure, loneliness.
And many of them found comfort in the story of a man who lost nearly everything, yet still believed life was worth living. Some people are remembered for wealth, some for power, some for victories. People facing grief, depression, failure, loneliness. Maybe that's why people still speak his name decades later. Not because he avoided suffering, but because suffering never took everything from him. And if you're going through something difficult right now, if you feel left behind, exhausted, or unsure how much more you can carry, this story isn't here to tell you to be stronger. It isn't here to force optimism. Maybe it only offers a small reminder. Sometimes moving forward doesn't begin with motivation. Sometimes it begins with believing your life still has meaning, even if only a little. Because in the end, that may have been Viktor Frankl's greatest lesson. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.